My name is John Agasild. I'm a stand-up comedian living in Glasgow in Scotland. But I haven't always lived here. I was born and raised in Aberdeen in the northeast. I'm working on my next solo stand-up show, and I found myself writing and talking a lot about both of these cities. So I wanted to interview some other comedians about their hometowns, find out what they're like, why they left, why they stayed, and what home means to them. This is the Welcome Home podcast. My guest today is Chris Thorburn, who is a dear friend of mine. One of my dearest friends in comedy. Very, very funny stand-up comedian. Very good on Twitter, and also great sketch writer, performer, and director. So what I wanted to... And thank you very much for having me in your actual house today, because there was like hammering going on in my flat where I was going to be filming, and so this is this is ideal, and this works nicely for the podcast as well. So what I want the podcast to be about is me asking people about their hometowns and where they have lived and their relationship with those places, and I want that to, and I just kind of want my conversations to be, hopefully, maybe inspiration for how I write the show, and give me ideas for what I would want to talk about in the show, because I'm writing it at the moment. But first of all, what I want to ask you is like how you write. How do you write, and how do you like literally write?
I very rarely like sit down with like the routine like in front of me. Like I've seen other people's notebooks or whatever, and some people can be very meticulous. They will like write word for word what they intend to say. I kind of, a lot of the time I kind of do the writing on stage. Like I've got like I'm
laughing at that just because when people say that, I'm always like, that sounds nice and easy, and it's like it would be cool to say that.
Often, it's again, it's mostly at like nice new material nights, like say like like the ones you get like like on weekdays, that and often it'll be like so many times like I will go through like my old like tweets and stuff like that and be like, oh, that's the beginning of this bit, like that's like,
oh right, okay,
yeah, like
how do you mean?
Well, it's like something.
Give us an example of that.
The premise of like a bit will like be summed up as a sentence in a tweet, and then it's just like, oh, that was on my mind. Oh, we could expand that. We could
when you nut and she keep on sucking. Then you're like, now that's got the wheels turning.
And that's a classic Thorburn.
That's
bit
a classic
now.
Thorburn bit. Yeah,
fellas, we all know.
Yeah, that's how no pun intended, you finished in Greenock on Thursday night. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
But
yeah.
No,
that's interesting. That's really interesting.
Yeah, like it's like because I think I'll have an idea of like, okay, I want to say this, I want to say this, I want to say this, but you can never truly
about Ghostbusters.
Yeah. Oh, I mean that was I remember years ago. This is how long ago it was. A bit that never fucking worked. It was in the run up to Paul Feig's Ghostbusters. The
It would be very funny if that was the full title of
what, Paul Feig's
Ghostbusters. Because I just watched Bram Stoker's Dracula, and which is the full title being Francis Ford. Well, not really, but it's Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula.
Yeah.
So in the run up to Paul Feig's Ghostbusters.
Right. Yeah, and it was
Paul Feig's Ghostbusters.
And so I was like, I was so like, this is so early on, like like I was just starting, and like and I wanted to talk about the bit in the original where Dan Aykroyd gets a blowjob off a ghost, You know that bit.
Casting my mind back.
Right. Okay, so there's a bit in the original Ghostbusters, and it's there. It's included in a montage. Like, so it's one of those, like, those bits in Ghostbusters where it's like a montage of like, and here's how business is going. They're going from job to job. And during the montage, Dan Aykroyd falls asleep and has a dream where a ghost pulls down his pants, and then he does the cross eyes, like, oh, like he's getting blown off a ghost. Now that is that the reason that's in there is because it wasn't originally part of a dream sequence. It was a deleted scene where they are in a house and Dan Aykroyd gets blown by a ghost, and that scene got deleted. But clearly Dan Aykroyd was like, "Whoa, we're not losing this gold." So I don't care if
We're
it's
not
weird.
losing.
Yeah. So
ironically, the genesis of this bit was truly when you nut and she keeps on sucking.
Oh my God! So it is. Yeah. So
That's your style. Just the dressage is a bit different.
Yeah, but deep down, we're just talking about suck jobs.
Yeah. So he said,
Yeah,
keep it in.
yeah. He was clearly so precious about it that he put the dream sequence. He put it as a dream sequence in this montage that has no business. You don't put a dream sequence in a montage. That's defying the cinematic language.
Yeah.
But it's in there. It's in the original Ghostbusters, a film that we all grew up watching, a film that we all love. Like, it's just fundamental. It's part of cinema. It's such a weird thing to have in a film that we all watched as kids. Just in our heads, Ghostbusters is a kids' film. But like, there's a bit where Dan Aykroyd gets a blowjob off a ghost, and so my bit at that time, which never worked, because it's so weird. I'm just like, if we accept this part, then if we want true equality, there needs to be a scene where one of the new Ghostbusters gets eaten out by a ghost. I know that sounds gross, but then that's the double standard right there. Like, if that's weird, then so's that. Like, it never worked.
Yeah.
It never worked. Like, because It wasn't a very good bit, and I was so new to comedy. But yeah, I just wanted. But you did already have the beginnings of, okay, Chris has overthought one scene in a film, or like, that is the genesis for every bit.
Many bits, many great bits. But you would work that out on stage. I don't think I've ever seen you like before a gig like going over notes and stuff. Whereas me, I have a notebook at least, and I have sheets of paper, and I have cards, and I have it written on my hand, and I make it look a lot more stressful than it needs to be. But it gives me comfort having lots of like these bits of paper and stuff and writing it down, because I don't like, it's either my memory, I think my memory will fail me, or I'm psyching myself out that I won't remember it, and I have these as crutches.
Yeah.
So like, how did you write Cinnamon? You like your previous show that you just did at the Fringe.
Yeah.
A previous incarnation of which has been, critically acclaimed, and rightfully so.
I like, well,
it's because it's just bits.
Yeah, it is just bits. Like I like the way I viewed the show, because like, as you say, I'd done a previous version of the show before, and I knew that I wanted to. I enjoyed like spending time just with like almost like the kind of boundaries, the barriers of like, can you just do a show about films? Because I enjoy talking about films so much. And it was like, oh, can I just? And it's just a compilation of bits and that I've done in the past, or like new bits, and yeah, I sort of purposefully wanted it to feel. I don't know if episodic's the right word, but like,
Yeah.
it goes from this to this to this.
Oh, right. The
There's
show
no-
to be.
Yeah. I feel like naturally over the course of doing it over the Fringe, it kind of found a flow and a through line, but it's not much of one. It is sort of purposefully meant to be a kind of and now this and now this. Yeah, like I wanted it to just be fun, fast, and silly. But in terms of writing it, yeah, it's sort of these film-related bits that I would have normally the rest of the year, be sort of sandwiched into club sets.
Yeah.
And like, can we take these out, pick those, and like let these stand on their own, in amongst say other like bits I've done as like online videos. And make them work live.
Yes.
Like,
and it's also like there's bits that are for sure more would not fit in a 10-minute set.
No.
When you're doing like song like singing and stuff like that, or they wouldn't work everywhere. That they break them up. But it's so good, and it's just like it's such a great show, and it was like just moved along at such a great pace, and it was just it was so funny to see again, and it is a nice idea that you can just keep kind of doing that and update it, because there's like you talk about yourself through like, and you talk about yourself and you're just talking about other stuff through the lens of movies.
Sure, yeah,
as well,
yeah,
because movies are about movies are about stuff, and it's so good. It's so good. But I was like, when I was thinking about asking you that question, I was like, I'm sure it's not that complicated. I'm sure it's a very simple answer, because you just kind of like did one work in progress before you did the Fringe, and then you're like, as you said, you sort of like found its way. But that's it. That's really interesting. So, where were you born? Because I've never. This is funny to me, because we've never actually ever talked about writing. Because we don't have a friendship like where like I've had like I have a friendship with other comedians where it'll be like sit and talk about bits and go back and forward with bits. Ours is more like going and watching stuff or talking about stuff. We are very much the tweet where it's like guys just like to get together and name actors. I need that. I need that friendship. Those friends of mine are back in Aberdeen. I don't have that. I need that. I need a friend to do that with here.
I saw that meme, and you were the person I thought of.
Yeah.
We will just hang out. And Paul Giamatti.
Yes,
man.
of course. Yeah. And so, but I don't think I've ever asked you about where you're from. So where were you actually born?
Bells Hill Hospital.
Bells Hill.
Bells Hill.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. My friend Dave is from Bells Hill.
Yeah.
And we cycled there, not to the hospital, but we cycled to Bells Hill, from Glasgow, and I went to the tonic shop.
Yeah.
I went to the tonic shop and got plain Tonics chocolate, like a bar of Tonics chocolate.
Yeah.
Which is, some people are like, oh, there's all sorts of like cool stuff that you can get there, but for me, I think in a very simple, clear way, to just get their plain chocolate is a real test of their mettle, and it was really good. So did you grow up in Bells Hill?
No. So spent the first 10, 11 years living in Airdrie.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. I didn't know. Yeah. Right. I didn't know that. Because I'm like Glasgow. And I don't know where else you live. So, what is Airdrie like?
I mean, the few times that I'm trying to think that like the last time I was like, beg your pardon, I should leave my phone on silent.
That's all right. That's all right. Jesse's. We should introduce the guest. This is like in a podcast when like somebody's like, "So sorry, our guest today is," when they do that 15 minutes into it. So Jesse is here. Jesse's doing Eddie staring at Fraser Crane bit with me.
Yeah.
Just now.
If you're listening to the audio, in between us is my Springer Spaniel Jessie, who was sleeping, and now she's a bit more alert.
If you were listening to this on audio, you'd be like, "Whoa, there's a dog there! Wow, holy shit!"
Oh, there we go. Yeah, she's got a habit of intruding on podcasts. She was present for when I did Paul McDaniel's podcast as well. Took it to the Monkey Barrel Studios.
Great.
But yeah, Airdrie's got a reputation in so like punchlines and stuff like that for being rough. I don't see it. I mean, like when I was growing up, just your hometown is all you know, really.
Yeah.
And I don't especially have many memories of it being particularly rough. I think we grew up in quite a nice street. But yeah, I don't go back very often because no disrespect to Airdrie.
It's not calling to you.
No. I remember after I'd moved away, would still go back there because there was a drama school at the arts center that went to for like several years. Then other than that, just don't really. I'm trying to think when the last time
there was a drama school there.
Yeah, it was it was in a.
What's it called?
So at the Airdrie Arts Center, it's it's named after the teacher. I'm sure he's fine. The Colin Scoogle.
Scoogle.
Colin Scoogle.
Colin Scoogle.
And he would sort of teach drama, and you'd have 2 shows a year. You'd in the summer you'd do one of the classics. You do fucking Joseph Technicolor Dreamcoat,
sure,
or Annie or something like that, or Oliver. And then in the winter you'd have the compilation show, whereas okay, now kids are going to be singing songs and they're doing sketches and stuff like that.
Nice. And when did you do that?
Started when I was 8. So when I was.
Did you do that, or was that something that your mum or dad were like? Would you you just find? I think sometimes when you're a kid, you just find yourself doing stuff.
Yeah, I think round about 8, the parents kind of figure, well, he's not sporty.
Yeah.
We didn't get a sporty one.
Yeah.
He's creative.
He's creative. Yeah.
And so they were like, all right, I guess is it I think I'm so sorry if you're watching this on video. She is now just fully
washing, having a wash.
Yeah. Okay. And so I think at the time, it's also you're a kid and you're like, I want to be an actor.
Yeah.
So the first show did when I joined, the first show was Joseph Technicolor Dreamcoat. I was Potiphar. I was the
What's
skinniest
that?
Potiphar. Potiphar's
Who's that?
Potiphar's a villain in it. Don't know if you'd call him the main villain. He is. Do you know the story of Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat?
No.
Okay, so this guy Joseph, and he's got a bunch of brothers, but he's clearly the favorite. His dad gives him this really nice jacket, and the rest of the brothers are like, "Who the fuck does this guy think he is?" And also his whole thing is he can understand people's dreams. I don't
Okay.
know. It's a dumb show.
Right.
Like Andrew Lloyd Webber's a hack.
Right.
But like
But it's a Bible story.
yeah, it's a Bible story. They take Joseph out to the desert. They fuck up his coat, and then I think they sell him into slavery.
Oh
and
my God.
Potiphar is a guy that like
You were a slave owner.
yeah, I'm a slave owner, and my wife.
I don't think slave ownership is funny.
No,
The idea of you playing.
and what is it like? My wife tries to fuck Joseph, and I'm having none of it. So I then send him to prison.
Wow.
Yeah, and yeah. There's yeah, and at the time I didn't understand because I was 8. So you don't understand the yeah, like you're walking in on your wife fucking another guy,
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't understand the gravity of that,
Yeah, yeah. A guy who you own,
yes, yeah,
who's your property.
yeah,
And your wife's your property as well.
yeah,
In that time.
mm-hmm. In that time, yeah,
So two pieces of your property are fucking each other and you
Yeah.
feel bad about it.
yeah. And
Crazy.
and he's typically he like in the text he is a fat coded guy, he is like it's like and I'm the skinniest fucking pot.
Right,
You know
okay.
when a character is just like like Andrew Lloyd Webber is like is notorious for that, like is kind of like what's this one's personality, what's the he's big.
Right, okay.
The way that like fucking some British folk like J.K. Rowling as well with their characters.
Sure.
It's like,
Yeah, I get what you're talking about. Yeah. Like the Dursleys thing is that they're mainly fat.
Yes, yeah.
And they're fat and then they're mean.
Yeah. And in these people's sort of imaginations, those things are almost intertwined.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, but that's cool that Airdrie had a drama school
Yeah, that was fun.
for quite a small place to have that.
Yeah. Because I think and it was like this old theater that it had, and it had a very like I went there for years. I think so. Started when I was 8, and I think until I was about 15, I kept
Cool.
going. Yeah,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's really that's awesome. So that'd be how you were interested in doing like during that time you would have found out about stand up and stuff.
Yeah, I'd say so. And like like you get experience, like sort of being in front of an audience, and
Yeah.
and yeah, it was fun. We're putting on a show.
Yeah. I feel like sometimes people see like there's like when people are trying to when people are like looking at celebrities or like talented people, there's like nepo baby, and then like people are like, are they a nepo baby? No, but they're a theater kid. It's like it's a rung down.
Yeah.
It's maybe like a couple of rungs down or something. But when people are like, oh, they're a theater kid, I'm like, you can't be mad at that, because it just means this person's been working at this for so long.
Yeah.
They've been working hard since they were like very, very young.
Yeah.
To do this.
Oh, I do also completely grasp the pejorative use of theater kid.
Yeah.
When you overhear like a bunch of kids who are really into the fucking Cell Block Tango song from Chicago.
Yeah. My God, I can't. Well, see, that's mad. That is mad that I never knew that, and then I was like, you have to see Theatre Camp.
Yeah.
So that must be mad.
Yeah.
So you've not seen it yet.
I didn't get the chance
you
to.
would love it.
Like
It's so good. Funniest, best comedy of this year. So have you been back to gigging Airdrie ever?
There are some gigs that run there. But I've not had the chance to do them. I I think the Arts Centre is still there, and I don't know if there's a gig that runs there. That would be so nice.
I've tread these boards before.
Yeah.
Before. Oh my God. Wow.
Shoot a special there.
100%.
The Airdrie Arts Centre.
Yeah, you have to.
I call it Theatre Kid.
Yes. Amazing. Yeah. That could be your next show.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Cineman, Theatre Kid.
Kids.
Oh my God. This is Jesse. These ideas. This is the idea sofa. This is crazy. The regression.
Yeah. Before there was Cineman, there was Theatre Kid.
Spotlight.
Yeah, it's real one-man show.
Yes, really lean. That would be great because you could really lean.
Like an I Want song about leaving Airdrie.
Yes, exactly. Because you're a big musicals person.
I am. Like, well, I say big. Like, I've got musicals that I really like, and grew up doing musicals.
Doing musicals, yeah.
You very kindly called me during the first a closeted musical comedian.
Yes.
And
yes.
I just sat there like, this motherfucker really wants to be a musical comedian.
Yes. Yeah. Because I was like watching the show, and after an hour, I was like, this guy's singing a lot. I was just like, this guy's singing a lot.
And there's no warning of that. Any of the brief.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah.
If anybody is very averse to musical comedy, I didn't even set out to. Right, I just, there's the breakfast at Tiffany's bit, and then there's that
there's a big song at
10,
the end.
10-minute it's about 8 minutes of singing at the end.
Yeah. I can't remember what we were talking about.
So
theater school and yeah. So you went, but what about normal school? So you went to primary school in Airdrie, and then a bit of
No.
And then did you move just before secondary?
Yeah. It was that summer.
You didn't get taken out of another school. It didn't upset your schooling.
No. I mean, it was went to Clarkston Primary, and then we knew that we were moving, and so everybody else. Everybody else from my school, 99% of the kids, were all going to the same school, and I wasn't.
Right. That would have been quite tough, I imagine.
At the time, I wasn't thrilled about it. And I got over it.
Yeah.
It was, just, when you know everybody else is going to this place, and you're like, oh, but these are all my friends, and your parents, your parents tell you, you'll keep in touch with those folk, and you'll get new friends, and turns out they're 100% correct, but also you don't really keep in touch with them. You're just a kid, and these are I got over it very quickly.
Yeah. What was your secondary school like? Because I think primary schools are much of a muchness.
Mm-hmm.
I think unless they're extremely rural.
Yeah.
I think that the primary schools are all kind of similar. But what was your secondary school like?
It was.
I also find it difficult to. I don't like. That's the thing about these conversations that I'm kind of not apprehensive about, but what the fuck does that question mean?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to be like, was this person rich or anything like that? I'm just kind of I just it's such a grand scale of shit to good.
Yeah.
But yeah, what was and you also, it's the same as when I asked you what Airdrie is like, you're like, it's all that you know.
Yeah.
But
so I went to school in Hamilton, and it was weirdly, it was a Christian school, and I've since and I later discovered that my parents are not religious, and it's oh, why did you do that? And
right.
Yeah, but wanted you to go to a nice school, and it's yeah, okay, but no shade to anyone who still has religion in their life.
Yeah.
But it's just that took a lot of deprogramming.
Right.
Secondary school is already hell. And
yeah.
Just that. Yeah.
Yeah. What? How Christian?
Oh, it was just the until the last year or so, the the religious studies are like, like sort of exclusively Christian, and like, this is what we know to be
And
true.
fundamental.
Yeah, and there's prayer every morning, which is still. I mean, was that standard growing up?
I would pray in assembly,
Uh-huh.
which I think was once a week.
Right. This, yeah.
How often would assembly be? You're the wrong man to ask
Yeah.
how often assembly is.
Yeah.
I think assembly was once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think assembly is once a week, and there would be prayer in that,
Uh-huh.
which is mad.
Yeah. Like,
Because there would be primary school assembly where kids who had different religions would just sit out for the whole thing.
yeah.
God almighty.
Yeah, it's fucked, isn't it? Like,
I know that this is not
Yeah.
new ground. that
yeah,
we're
not to
covering,
get all
but
Ricky Gervais.
yeah,
like,
but it is how intensely isolating that would be.
Uh-huh.
But being in the room's not much. isn't awesome.
Yeah.
But you would pray, and it would just be like bowing your heads, and then like it would also just must have been weird for like a headmaster to be like, "Hey, I want to teach," and that's like, "Oh, you're also going to lead children in prayer."
Yeah.
And you're like, "All right, okay,
Yeah.
I guess, yeah,
Yeah.
sure." I thought it's more like I start out as a teacher. I
Yeah.
like English. I want to teach children about
Yeah.
like literature, and
Uh-huh.
then you're like, "Well, I need more money. I'm
Yeah.
gonna, go for a head." And then you're like, then you're teaching, then you're leading children in prayer.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Yeah.
That's such a strange, career path.
Yeah.
Although teachers do great jobs,
Yeah.
but that's
yeah.
that's odd.
Yeah, there was like, and it was mostly like a headmaster, and like every teacher would also like, like take turns in assembly, like leading like the prayer and like sermon and whatnot. And then like post the fact, like, afterwards, you look back and you're like, oh, this teacher never did that. Huh? They okay. They were the like
They
the one
weren't-
quietly like,
Right. Okay.
like,
And was it? And this is where like my like knowledge is like quite fuzzy. Was it like Catholic or Protestant?
I was Protestant. Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I see.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So
Yeah. Which is
significantly less ceremony.
Yeah, but
Right,
like,
okay.
like, I don't know if this will make sense, but yeah, you're kind of because neither's ideal. Like, like both highly problematic. But there's something kind of cool about Catholic, like
Well-
Scorsese, man. Like the guilt. Oh, like
Well, nobody's-
like people
nobody's
carry like. There are people who are proud Protestant, but I
Yes.
do not. But that's got its own shit as well.
Yeah.
Like people who aren't religious still carry Catholicism into like they're just I was raised Catholic.
Yeah.
Like, you can say that and like
Yeah.
it
Nobody's a
explains-
lapsed Protestant.
No, exactly. Yeah, like
Although you are, but
yeah.
there's not
Yeah.
a thing. Yeah. Nobody's like, well, I'm a lapsed Protestant. People are like, yeah, I know what
Yeah,
you.
yeah.
I know what you mean. There's no
Yeah.
cultural cachet.
Yeah, and like
To it.
in some of my
Oh, there is, but you don't want to. You're not looking to. You're not looking to benefit from from that cultural cachet.
frankly, some of my live bits actively
Yes.
bait Protestants.
Yes,
Like-
yes. Was like your drama school or your theatre school on like Saturdays,
I think it was Wednesdays.
Wednesdays.
Yeah, and then in the run up to the big show, you'd have weekend rehearsals.
Right.
But it was Wednesdays or Thursdays.
Right.
Yeah.
So what would you do in Airdrie or Hamilton? Was it Hamilton that you moved to?
Hamilton, I moved to when I was 11. Yeah.
Right, yeah. What would you do in Airdrie on like Saturday afternoons with like your folks and your sister?
So
Because Saturday afternoons is when you really get to know a place that you live, like a city that you, as a child,
Yeah.
that's when you start to get to know like what stuff we have
yeah.
in the
Yeah.
in the city, what this place is about.
Yeah. So weekends, for a while, had for a wee stretch, we had keyboard lessons, and I've remembered none of it.
Really?
I'd love to be able to play the piano,
especially for theatre kids.
Yeah,
sure.
And it's all gone. Like I'm useless.
No.
Yeah. Like I was able to do it for a while, and it's just. It's not like riding a bike. It needs to be.
Send in the clowns.
I think maybe I just resented having to do something early on a Saturday morning, and so like I don't want to do keyboard lessons anymore.
I don't want to be. I don't know how your parents feel about it. They probably don't give a shit. But I don't want to be a third person in your life being like, oh, it's such a shame you quit the keyboard.
No, I am now. I've fully come around to. Yeah, it is a shame that I gave up the keyboard. Yeah.
So you had that. Yeah.
I was like, no, I want to watch the cartoons.
Yeah. I'm not trying to soundtrack them like it's a silent movie. What the fuck? Yeah. So you would have that. So that'd be in the house, or you would go to a place.
We would go to a place.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, like they must have been baffled when I no longer wanted to go, but it's just like, but it's your whole vibe, man. Like, so what, are you gonna play football now? Are you?
Yeah,
like,
I remember my mum sent me to a football camp. It was like I think it was an official Aberdeen Football Club football camp where you went for a week or 2 weeks, and you would learn skills, and then at the end of every day there would be a match. And I remember one time, just like, I have two core memories from it. I don't know how young I was, but the other thing is that, being myself, I won't speak for yourself, is that if you're not into sport, you end up just doing stuff longer than you should, I think, kind of. Yeah. Or like, you like stuff, and it takes a while to like phase into new stuff. But yeah, I went to this football camp, and I remember I was like poaching, or whatever you call it, where you're like hanging around the box, and like the ball came towards me, and I like turned around because I was like scared that it was going to hit me, and it bounced off my back and went into the goal, and everyone was like, yes! And I was like, oh my god, this is amazing. And then the game continued, and then another time I hadn't realized that the game had finished, and I was like near the goals. Somehow I hadn't realized the game had finished, even though everybody left. But there was like loads of sand next to the goals. I remember picking up the sand and like putting it through my hands, and I was thinking, oh, like this is what like vampires turn into when they're like kills. Because I used to really like vampires when I was young.
That's like the football game's happening, and you're busy thinking about vampires.
Exactly. Yeah. Does that make sense to you?
100%. Yeah. And I don't think I would have been so turned off by football were it not for the fact that how seriously everybody else took it. So it's like,
this isn't an
football
podcast, but like
it's quite frankly, nowadays I'm jealous, because it's like, football is the only one of the few games that you can still play. Like this is a bit I tried to make happen like a couple of weeks ago, and like don't know how successful like it really was, but it's just like like you could be in your 30s and have a five-a-side. Try to organize a game of hide and seek with your friends. see who says yes. Try to organize TIG.
Yeah.
Like a doctor says I need to get more cardio, so you guys want to do TIG on Saturday? Like, no.
Just in the street.
Come on,
or the whole city. If you want.
Yeah, we can get a big pub lunch after we've done like an hour of TIG.
So post keyboard. So you've quit the keyboard. Your Saturday, your diary, every Saturday in your diary has opened wide. What's next?
Well, ideally,
a lot of shopping with mum.
Like being dragged around the shops. I think that was also the thing, like, keyboard lessons. It's just like, you guys are away, like my parents, just like, you two are away for an hour. This is the time that we have to ourselves.
Which for sure.
I completely appreciate now. As someone who has chosen not to have children.
Yeah.
It's like,
Your kids are always at keyboard lessons.
Yeah. But yeah, the thing I'd want to be doing is like my best friend at the time, who was also called Christopher, who lived 2 doors down from me.
Called Christopher when you were young.
Yeah. No, I was Chris.
Even in a Christian school.
Yeah. Like
They let you away with nicknames. Were people okay with nicknames in the Christian school?
I think so.
Is Christopher a Bible name? Biblical.
It's
Yeah,
derived from
Saint
Christ.
Christopher. Yeah.
It's
Still a bit of deprogramming. You're like, people take football so seriously. And you went, it's derived from Christ. It's derived from Christ. Thank you. Put some respect on this name.
Yeah.
But yes, of course. Yeah. So in a word, yes, it is a Bible. It is a biblical name.
It's the Bible name.
Yes. So people would enjoy calling you Chris because it's as close as they can get to saying. Yeah.
Yeah. My parents couldn't call me God. So
yes. So you had a best friend, Christopher.
Yeah. And like hung out with him. And it was like the kind of you just good old fashioned going out to play.
Lovely.
And it's like
lovely
we're
stuff.
using our imagination.
Yeah.
But then like I remember
where
just
streets, fields,
and then there was like behind the houses there was a large unattended like sort of patch of grass and woods, and it had like fun danger to it.
Fun danger. Yeah. This is the sort of stuff I want to talk about and I want to get into. Yeah, like bits. It's like fun danger, like a little like a bit of like woodies and stuff like that. That you're just like this is fun danger. Yeah. But it's like it's so close to homes that it doesn't seem like your parents wouldn't be worried about it or like wouldn't view it as danger.
Yeah, 100%. And I think with like that like bit behind the houses in Airdrie, there was an element of like just be careful around there. Don't pick up like if you see needles or whatever. Don't like do. But yeah. And that's ideally like what you'd be doing on a Saturday. But then for the last like 2 years, because my parents knew they were moving, every Saturday was just fucking viewing houses.
No.
I hate it so fucking much. I'm like, this is my weekend, and like I was a dick about it, I was just like, "What? We're going to view houses again?
Oh
no!" And I think that all added into the whole, like, I don't want to move. Our life is perfect here.
Yes.
Right now. Got over it very quickly.
Oh right, okay, okay, good.
But the time before it's happened, you're like, I'm opposed to this because I don't like change.
Yes, yes, I hated. And still not a big fan of change.
Yeah.
But that would have really... I remember my mum would like sometimes go to like open houses of like new sort of like developments and stuff just to check them out, and we'd sometimes just go around, but be very quick. But like but being like a little kid, like, and they'd be like, "Do you like it? What do you think?" And you're just like, "No, I don't like it." Your mind's already made up. Something like that, and just the idea of, because I lived in 3 houses in my childhood, but the first one I do not remember. The second one I hardly remember. Like I barely remember my bedroom. So like all my core memories are just core memories into like leaving home or one house.
Yeah.
But I can imagine just like, being like, your room is so important to you when you're young. Did you share a room?
Did until
you moved.
No, actually, we.
just the idea of being like, this could be your room,
Yeah.
and you being like, no, my room's awesome.
Yeah.
Like, my room is awesome.
Yeah.
This looks shit. This box looks shit.
Yeah. You know what's weird? Okay, so we did share a room like until a point, and then moved into separate rooms, but within the same house.
Yeah.
Like, so, God, I'm trying to remember how that worked. What that room was.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, and as you say, this could be your room kind of thing. Like, just going through around all these houses, hating them because I just hated the idea, and like hated that this is how we were spending our Saturday.
Sure.
And so, just like, did you like it? It's like, no, I hate it. Like, except
it.
there was one house.
It's not even south facing.
Yeah.
It's like...
There was one house, and it wasn't the house we moved to, but like I think it was a show house, and they had made the choice for like the kids' bedroom had a bunch of Simpsons stuff in it, and then it was, what's this room? The sheets have Bart on it. There's a Simpsons alarm clock there.
Wow.
Yeah, because as you say, you would, when you read that, you'd hyperfixate on stuff, and
of course,
for a long period of time, like when the Simpsons finally made it to BBC, like which was like 1997 or something. That's like when, like, that was my obsession.
Yes.
For like several years.
Yes, but oh my God, that must have been amazing. Yeah, it's just weird seeing other stuff when you're young and seeing like, oh, a Simpsons alarm clock and the Simpsons. Oh my God, like, just the thought that the idea that somebody else's could have their whole room kitted out.
Yeah.
With like, you're like, oh, that looks. It seems seems crazy.
Yeah.
To me, like, because and to think about how much that would cost and stuff like that, but you just have no appreciation of it. And then, you're like, I can move into this room. Now, and they're like, none of this stuff is going to be here. When you get here,
it was a show house. Like, so it was, the kid didn't exist. Like.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It was like we've decked out this house, and like like it was
Oh wow.
Yeah.
They tricked me.
Yeah.
They tricked me. They got me.
Yeah.
They got little you and they got me now at 32 years old. Holy shit. Okay, that kid never existed.
Yeah.
Well,
he was some grown adult's idea of a child.
Yes. So that's not the house that you moved into.
It's not,
and you moved into you moved in a different house in Hamilton. And how long were you in Hamilton for then?
Well, it was actually Uddingston, which is like which is next.
Heard
to
of the station? Heard of the train station?
Yeah. And where the Tunnocks tea cake factory is.
Okay, right. Okay, so. Oh well, that's where I went then. That's where I cycled to.
So lived in Uddingston.
How long did you live there? How long? When did you move from there?
So I moved 11. All of secondary school, and I moved out for uni when I was 17.
Right, okay.
And that was me out then. Like,
17. Wow, that's cool.
It was real. Just
to
air. Yeah. And I listened to a lot of pop punk at the during those years, and any pop punk song that isn't about being in love with a girl who's got a boyfriend is about hating your town and leaving your town.
I see. Yes.
Like, I didn't hate the town, but like I wanted to move out.
But you listen to a song like that and you're like, I fucking hate this town.
It's the most powerful notion in the world. Like,
yes.
I gotta leave my town. Like, I hate this town.
Yeah.
And mom and dad.
Yeah. You're like,
Yeah.
They brought me here.
Yeah.
And I hate it. And
Yeah.
now I want to leave.
It's not a pop punk song, and I'm probably butchering it, but there's a tweet by our mutual friend Stuart McPherson that I always think about, where it's just like listening to Bruce Springsteen's Born to Run, and like 16-year-old me, like, this song is about me going to St Andrews University or something, or I forget what university he went to, but yeah, it's that's the notion.
Yeah.
Like,
Shout out to Stu. But yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah. I do that still.
Uh-huh.
I do that, especially like thinking about this show and writing this show. Like the songs like that are so powerful. It is the most powerful notion. So you moved to Ayr when you were 17, and that's like to go to the University of West of Scotland. Is that what it is?
Yes. Yeah.
Right. Okay.
At the time, it was called the Ayr campus of the University of Paisley, which is confusing. And so they rebranded halfway through the first year.
You go to ACOTUOP.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, like those ugly hoodies.
yeah. So what are who are you at that point? Although I think I kind of get the idea.
Yeah. I was so excited to, like, it was a fresh start, and
it's just so funny, like a 17-year-old being like, a fresh start. I can cast off all this shit. I can cast off all this shit I've accumulated throughout my life, which is true.
Yeah.
It is true. It's the moving, the keyboard lessons, the theatre school. That's behind me. I'm a new person. I'm in control of my own narrative and brand.
Yeah,
But it's funny to be like a fresh start, like in witness protection.
100%. Yeah. But I was just like, it's gonna be like, complete opposite of how I felt going from like primary to secondary. It was like, it was, okay, like new town, new, like, everything, and got, like, I think just like, one, you've finally got a place of your own. Like, I was living in university halls at the time, and yeah, like, also
that's cool.
Yeah, and
that's like, sorry, go on.
No.
Like, it's mad that halls are so cool, but also like horrible.
Oh,
like
mental.
also horrible, because you're talking about like rooms, like movement change being a big thing for you in your youth, and then you're like, okay, I get the smallest room I've ever seen, with a sink that has it's like stone walls, right?
Yeah. No, we didn't have stone walls.
Okay.
So like, it was plain
wallpaper.
white walls.
Okay, plain white walls. Yeah, but not like paper.
Yeah.
Not like wallpaper. It's not like homely.
No. Yeah.
It's really blank and empty, and then like a big, intimidating. Well, how many people would be in your halls?
Oh, it was.
I'm speaking about one specific halls that I know, like, or two. I'm acting like they're all the same.
There were 4 floors. And
in your halls?
Yes, and we were in the annex, which was kind of like, I don't know, it was like it was just like, the misfits and the weirdos, and the, like, like, there was like everybody got along, everybody liked each other.
How do they do that? Why do they put? Is that? Do you think that's part of that? Do you think that's your own narrative that you're like, this is the misfits and the weirdos in the annex, or do you think that because the movies make it seem like that?
100%. It's like, we're Delta House. We're we're and like we're
like university staff are like, okay, so this is Chris Thorburn. He went to a Christian primary school. He's into pop punk. He's studying film. He's moved around quite a bit, so change is tough for him. He is also a twin, so he's really trying to carve out his own unique individual identity. What are we thinking? The annex with all the other misfits and freaks? Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Nobody's spending any time thinking about placing you.
No.
Yeah.
It was a self-fulfilling kind of thing of just but it was one of those rare cases where you've built it up so much in your head and it absolutely paid off. I was
fucking
so
awesome.
happy. Like, just you arrive and it's folk studying like film, media, or musicians, and so everyone's now like sort of
everyone's into one cool thing.
Yeah.
That you're into.
Yeah.
Or one thing that you find cool.
Yeah, and like everyone's creative and a bit of a geek,
And also, ideally, a little. You want somebody to just be a little bit cooler than you, because then you learn about cool shit.
100%, and it felt like everybody was that for one another. You know?
Yes,
and oh my god,
fantastic!
It was almost immediately you've left secondary school, and it's just kind of like. Oh, what the fuck were we doing
back
Why
there?
were we so mean to one another?
Yeah.
Jesus! And then you're in a new home. You've got all these people. You're in a new town, and they were genuinely really happy years. So, love them.
So it's four. So the halls is four floors, but your flat. Is across 4 floors.
No.
So it's 4 floors in a building.
4 floors in a building,
and then there's flats within that host that house how many students in like one flat.
So the annex had about 20 rooms. The rest, I believe, had 10.
Right. Okay.
Roughly.
Oh wow! The annex is the big block.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
Aye.
And then how many people would be in your flat?
Oh no! You just had your own dormitory to yourself. Oh! You mean the floors?
Okay, so let me explain what I know of halls. Is an ex of mine. She was in halls, and they had like I think maybe like 6 or 7 floors, and then a flat would have like. Would have like a hallway with like 8 individual rooms off it, and then it would have a shared massive kitchen and living space. But that would be for 8 people.
Right. Yeah. So
you're sharing a kitchen with.
That was the thing. So the annex was like 20 people, and it was the smallest kitchen.
No. Why? Come on, guys.
Every other floor.
Come on, AOC, POWS.
Yeah.
Or whatever the fuck the thing is.
It had the sort of it had the common area that was like that was essentially the annex's living room, but it was also like so I think that was the thing. It's just like we are the have-nots,
right? Okay.
And
is there a PlayStation in there?
My PlayStation 2.
Your PlayStation 2.
The common,
wow.
And when I left halls in
the thought of my. Yeah, that really shows what sort of person you are, that your console becomes. You would never dream of your console becoming a communal console.
Oh, but
I wouldn't, but
well, I was just like,
what a generous man.
I'm also like, other than the Tony Hawk's games, I wasn't really much of a gamer.
Oh, were you? Right, okay.
And I that entire first year, it was just Guitar Hero 2.
Wow.
We just those set songs, Killing in the Name of, all in that common room. And yeah, when I left halls after first year, there was a kind of, just like, I leave the PlayStation 2. Wow. This is for you guys. Like love you guys. Like take. I think because also I was then.
Wow, that guy's so fucking cool. He left us his PlayStation and Guitar Hero 2 and guitar.
Yeah. I
2 guitars.
Just one guitar.
Okay.
Just one guitar.
Yeah, sure.
I think some
problem.
people would bring their own guitars out
Round.
as well.
Right.
But then I was moving into then like another flat. Like
That was just for 1 year.
That was just for first year.
Sure,
yeah.
of course, sure.
And then after that, lived for a year with two friends who were a couple at the time. So I was like a couple and me. And
Wow.
that was very
For
nice.
4 years?
No, for
Oh,
1 year.
sorry, 1 year.
So that was for second year. Third year, moved into a flat with a friend of mine.
What was it like living with a couple?
You know,
For a year?
Yeah, it was
Nice,
It
I
was
imagine.
very nice. Yeah, like they you know, they had their room because we were all friends anyway. We hung out a lot anyway, and I think just because we were also so young, it never felt like, you know, just like you guys need your space. Or
Yeah,
like,
nobody. That's it. Nobody's using the term space.
No, there's
at
no
all.
concept.
There's
of
no
space.
concept of personal space.
Yeah, you're young students. You're just like living in everybody else's mess.
Space.
And,
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
And I was seeing somebody who was living in halls, so like there would be nights
Okay.
where I was away, like, and yeah, like and so yeah, like
Back in the annex. Back. You know, this is actually my PlayStation.
No, they did not live in the annex, and so I was just I'm moving up in the world.
You know the Tom Square CBT? That's actually
yeah. I might take a little swing down the annex, see how the old boys are doing. You know, it's just like boy, oh boy, the times we had. Who are you? I'm something of a legend around here. Yeah. And then, so lived with a couple for a year, and then moved into the flat with my friend Kester, and that was the flat that I stayed in until I moved to Glasgow. So stayed in Ayr for a few years.
So that's the flat.
Yes, yeah.
That's very much the flat. Yeah,
yeah. Like,
where and what is describe this flat?
Oh, it was great. Like it was on a street called Craigie Way.
Craigie Way,
Or was it Craigie Avenue? It was Craigie Avenue.
Craigie Avenue. My street that my not adolescent, but you know, my flat, my first home, got shout. Like I went to see Dracula.
Yeah.
On Friday night.
Yeah.
And it's set entirely within Aberdeen.
Yeah.
And it's like loads of people are speaking Doric in it, and they mention Rose Street on that, and I was like, wow. And there's nothing like that street in that flat. So it was Craigie Avenue.
Yes, yeah. And yeah, it was a smaller flat, but also just it had the previous flat that I lived in with the couple was very nice, but you know how some flats are they're cold and damp, and they had mold in the winter. This just had a warmth to it. It's just like wood and carpets, and yeah, like it was just like moved in and
there's
instantly,
like the young ones. There's like the flat and the young ones that is horrible, and then there's like, what's a flat that seems. The Scott Pilgrim flat seems nicer.
Scott Pilgrim flat
seems
spaced
nicer.
flat.
The spaced flat
Yeah.
is nice. That's what you want. You want the spaced flat.
Certainly what you wanted at the time.
That's what you wanted
like,
at the time. And the spaced flat doesn't seem to really have anything.
No.
Doesn't seem to have anything wrong with it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's cozy, great.
Yeah. And that and just smoking a lot of weed.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Like just
What did we do in this lovely little flat? We stunk the place. We treated it like shit, probably.
Convinced that my parents don't smell it when they come to visit.
Yeah, of course.
Just like Nag Champa incense that we think is so cleverly covered.
I don't know. I'm not familiar with Nag Champa
Yeah.
incense. We didn't even use incense to try and cover up weed smell. But it would just be, I mean, like, what would you'd need to set fire to more stuff than the weed that you were smoking in order to cover up the smell.
Yeah.
That's the thing. So
Yeah.
you need to put as much effort into setting fire to something
Yeah.
as you are into smoking weed to cover up the smell.
Yeah.
And nobody's concentrating on that.
No.
Everybody would have to have an incense stick
in
their hand, or you'd have to pass around an incense stick all night.
Yeah.
Yeah, great,
Yeah.
great. And what were your neighbors upstairs? Like the neighbors are all right?
Yeah. I mean, the neighbors were often changing,
Right.
over.
Okay.
Like, I think just when you're in a uni town, and sometimes like, yeah, like just
Uh
it's
huh.
so like people don't really stay in the one place for very long, typically. But yeah, and
It's
yeah.
weird when you're young,
Mhm.
and you're when you're young, like you would have been 19 or like 20. You're like, "Phew, new neighbors. I'm part of the furniture."
Yeah, yeah. There was an element of like once uni finished, a lot of folk I did know, like, either had already or were then moving to
Uh
Glasgow,
huh.
and I think in my head I was just like, this is it was back to the then resistant to change kind of thing of like, but this is where I'm happier than I've ever been.
Yeah.
So why would so in my head I was like, me being happy is me being here.
Yeah.
Like, and
Yeah.
it wasn't until then like sort of met Lynn and like realized.
Until you're no longer happy.
Well, I was
Until you're no
still
longer happy there, kind of.
yeah, like
Right?
I
Or
think it reached a point where I was just like, okay, I feel ready. I feel
yeah.
ready to leave now. Like, especially because like there actually isn't much going on in air. Like, we were making our own stuff. Like, we were putting
Yeah.
on our own, like, go see friends, bands and stuff. But
Yeah.
like, it's you really had to work to make the culture be happening in place.
Yes.
And also like being in a uni town, like, worked in the Odeon for years, but you leave uni and you're like, I'm ready to go full time, and they're like, we don't put anyone on full time. It's
Yeah.
like, okay, well now I need to work two fucking jobs or
Yeah.
something.
So
So
that's
like,
interesting. Being
yeah.
in a uni town, is that just like loads of just like it's very young, like it's a very young population?
I'd say so. Like, well, a large quantity of the population is like, folk who are going to uni,
Yeah.
and they will not stay there for long.
Right. Okay. Interesting.
And and so yeah, it was like the cinema just didn't even entertain the notion of somebody working full time.
Yeah.
And like I need more hours.
Yeah.
Please.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because I was and so you would go out in air
Yeah. There was
to like to like specific pubs and specific clubs. Did you have like an alt club?
yeah, there was
Is that because I imagine that you would be at the alt club?
yeah. So you'd start your night at Harley's, which is the bar next to the club, Fury Murray's, and Harley's was ostensibly a rock bar, like with like all the Jack Daniels branding. So used to do 80s night where you could get like a house spirit and mixer or a bottle of Carlsberg for 80 pence.
Wow.
Yeah, like different time, and they would play 80s tunes all night.
Yeah.
And you'd play. You ever know the Roxanne game?
Yes.
Yeah, very stupid, but like, and so like, yeah, just yeah,
Was that you would what is it, are you in different teams?
yeah. So half the
What-
table is Roxanne,
And
half the
others
ta-
is
red
turn on the
light.
red light. Yeah.
And
But
red light's the better deal. Like, if you're not wanting to drink as
okay.
much, yeah. Like, red light gets the sweat.
Roxanne, you don't have to do because then they're drinking and you're not.
Yeah, you don't have to wear that dress tonight.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
One question that I wanted to ask you was, what was your like second home in Ayr? Not like as in a place that you lived, but what was your second home? Would that have been that would be the Odeon?
I think it was probably the Odeon, because when I wasn't working there, I would still be going to see stuff there, and it's so terrible because again, at the time you show up stoned to watch films, and you're at your work.
I was going to work on a day off.
Yeah.
I could be stoned at work.
Yeah.
I could be stoned at my workplace, even though I'm not though I'm not working.
Yeah, and it was a cinema. Before I worked there, I remember one of the very first time I visited the Ayr Odeon, and it was like early in first year. It was October, and I was still in the habit at the time of like Oh yeah, like I told my parents, like, oh yeah, no, I'll come home at the weekends. It took a while for me to be like, I'm not gonna come home every weekend because I'm having such a nice time.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a Sunday, or like they were dropping us back off again, and just folk are leaving halls and like, we're going to the cinema. Do you want to come? I'm like, yeah. Went to go see Rob Zombie's Halloween.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
Imagine just it's like being at uni, you've just like probably had your dinner cooked for you, you've had some quality family time, you've paid your dues to your folks, they're happy with you,
Yeah.
they're proud of you that you're at uni,
Yeah.
they're dropping you off, and you're like, oh my god, and now I'm gonna go see a Halloween remake.
Yeah, like
My life is fucking awesome.
it was top of the like like you've just gotten out of the car, you've not even stepped foot in halls, you're heading right back out again, you're going to see fucking Halloween. And,
yeah. It is possible, entirely possible, surely, to enjoy life at that level somehow, but in your present life situation. But how? Young people being like, let's go and see Rob Zombie's Halloween. Like, when you're young, like, organizing stuff is like quite difficult, and it doesn't really get organized. It's like, let's do this, and yeah. Okay, let's do that. Like, well, will we do it tonight? Yeah, okay, sure. Like, it seems a lot more like impromptu, and therefore it seems like such a better the idea is even better. And whereas, like, if you want to go to the cinema with some mates, you're like, hey, you free next week to go to the cinema? And it's like a lot less like impromptu and seems a lot less exciting.
Yeah, what's that? It's
so I
that
think it's
John
like
Mulaney joke, like the pop song called "Tonight's No Good." How about Thursday?
yeah. It's very much that. So I don't think I'll be able to get the buzz of getting out of a car and then being invited to see Rob Zombie's Halloween, but somehow I will.
Yeah,
I'm just chasing that.
Yeah, like it's like that one moment that seems so simple at the time, but it crystallizes. Were you the happiest you'll ever be in your life?
That's kind of what I'm getting at. Yeah. This is maybe the happiest you'll ever be. Yeah.
I still have joy in my life, but yeah, like it's a little more like it's when you're that age, it's just the tap is on all the fucking time.
Yes.
But yeah,
yes, absolutely. The tap is on all the time. Yeah. Whereas now you're like, who left the tap on? Yeah. That's so the Odeon was your second home.
I'd say so. Yeah, I spent so much time there, and when they shut it down back in July there, like again, I spoke to a few folk who work,
R.I.P.
working there.
I've seen it in the flesh, never been in.
Oh man, like we were trying to make the plan, as you say, like to make the pilgrimage to go see one last film there. We're like, we don't even fucking care what film it is, but we could just never make the timing work. And yeah, so I went and I stood outside the remains of it. There's talk of it being like opened up again by a different company.
Okay.
So it won't be the Odeon, but at least it'll still be there.
Yeah, and the building's unchanged.
Yeah. Like I think it's the kind of old building that, like, sure, like,
is it listed?
I don't know.
I mean, it's just a matter of time until it is.
Yeah.
I think that I don't know exactly how listed buildings work, but it is just literally a matter of time until they age and then they become more important and significant with age.
Yeah.
So they will, and I imagine that a community would not let something like that be demolished.
Yeah. And it's an incredible building. If they open it up,
is it like Art Deco?
Yes. Yeah. And it's there 4 screens. Screen 1 is like,
that's a lot. 4 screens is a lot.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like the perfect size, because I know, like I've been to, like, I'm sure, like in Dumfries or something, the Odeon is like 1 screen or 2 maybe. And then when I moved to Braehead, it was like 12 screens. 4 screens, perfect amount, but screen 1 was so big, and I remember the summer that I started there, they were doing classic screenings, and like it was all on celluloid, because it was all celluloid at the time, but they would be getting like old prints, and some of these prints were in bad shape, like Back to the Future. It gets to the end, the car's pulling out, and he's just like, Dog, what are you doing? There's not enough road. Christopher Lloyd goes to say it. The print fails, and folk are like blue balls, just like ah! And then when the film starts up again, it just like the car's gone and like to be continued. Yeah, and it's like. Yeah, but it was like kind of like, God damn it, obviously we just sat through all of Back to the Future, but God, you're not going to give us roads. We don't need roads.
Yeah, although you are the sort of I'm not saying you are the sort of person. I'm saying in our mind, where you might be like. Where we're going, where we're going, we don't need roads. Like thinking that everybody's going to be like, yeah. But then people are like, shut the fuck up and sit down. Did you often get older movies like that?
Well, it was just for that summer. It was just for that summer that they were doing the flashback season. Yeah, they showed Back to the Future. They showed Ghostbusters. They showed Jurassic Park, Terminator. They had I remember working a shift where in the big screen you got OG Terminator, and in screen 4, the second bigger screen, you had Terminator Salvation, directed by Mick G. But like, yeah, and
amazing.
I just spent a lot of time there, and and it's got the bones of like old cinema. Like Billy Connolly's played there.
Wow,
yeah.
Holy shit!
Yeah,
and there's like the sort of stuff like posters of that. Was there a poster of that there, or was it just like?
Yeah, you had a wee room that was used for job interviews, and also like on the Tuesday mornings when they would do the senior screenings. That's where the seniors would be served their tea and biscuits before the film.
That's really nice.
Yeah.
What's the craziest thing that happened in the cinema?
Craziest thing that ever happened in the cinema.
People fucking.
Did have to break up, like not full on fucking, but like hand stuff,
Dan
like
Aykroyd like getting sucked off by a ghost.
Yeah. Like there was same group of like teenagers that would just like they're gonna be doing shit like this time, and and it's like, can you please not, because I need to break this up, and I feel so fucking awkward doing this. So can you just not like every single time, just like, guys, knock it off. Like, I get it. You're young and you're horny. Don't ruin cinema.
It's very much like, it's a bit of, that's a perfect like combination of your bit where you're like, youths, and also like, yeah, your love for movies, but that point in your life where you are employed and then have to sometimes becoming like an authority figure, mainly with kids just trying to fuck stuff up because you work in a retail space or something like that.
One time I had to watch The Woman in Black 5 times in one day. Because most horror films are 15s at least, mostly 15s. But The Woman in Black is a 12A. So all of a sudden you had this age bracket and people will tell you, like, have you seen The Woman in Black?
I have seen The Woman in Black. It's Daniel Radcliffe, and it's a remake of a film that was a stage play. And Daniel Radcliffe plays a young doctor?
Yeah. And it was part of Hammer's weird revival, where it's like, like Hammer Films came back, and and but it's been trying to like carve its own.
Actually, what was that?
Hammer Films.
Yeah, but what was the revival? What else was in there?
So you had the.
Because I'm confused. I started thinking about something, and then I was confusing that for the Universal thing.
Yeah. The Woman in Black made sense. It was like, okay, it's set in the past. It's in a fucking mansion or a castle or something. This feels a piece with like Hammer's legacy. But then you had other films like there was like Oculus. Do you remember Oculus with Karen Gillan?
Karen Gillan.
Yeah. Like they were doing more like nothing really had any staying power. There was one with Jared Harris. I forget the name of it. But yeah, and Matt Reeves' remake of Let the Right One In, Let Me In, with Chloe Grace Moretz. That's a Hammer film.
Is it?
Yeah.
Actually, I remember this now.
Yeah.
I remember that Hammer. Well, they came back.
Yeah.
As a production company.
Yeah.
As a studio.
Yeah.
No, I do remember this.
Aye.
It just wasn't super branded.
It didn't really like. It didn't really take off, and like it kind of felt like the One in Black, because I think that was the first one when they came back, and I was like, oh cool, so you're gonna make like new Hammer films that are like in your head, Hammer films take place in the past, and they are a mix. They're like sort of gothic and a mix of prestige and trash. You know? And also Hammer should feel British.
Yes,
which a lot of these new ones weren't bothering with.
Yes,
like Karen Gillan.
That's the only
accent. Yeah,
that's the only British soapbox upon which you start. But like British, it should feel
like
it should feel like that.
Yeah, Hammer should feel
British.
Like British.
Yes.
Like this is the only thing where I am
a Brit.
A Brit. Like I'm a gammon about Hammer.
Hammer gammon.
Hammer gammon. So with the Woman in Black being
why did you have to watch it 5 times?
While remaining in the brackets of a 12A, it manages to be effectively frightening.
Yes.
And this is a horror film that has been opened up to, like, you think between, like, say, 12 and 15.
But 12 and under.
12 and under, yeah.
Accompanied by an adult.
Yeah. So it's opened up to this other age bracket that are far more easily scared and also less well behaved. And these screenings were packed. And you had to supervise. And so, yeah, like
also, I'm thinking young people that, if they were scared, could wet themselves.
Yeah. Like
for real.
And so the screens were very busy and chaotic, and so just Chris, you need to supervise this one as well. It's just like, if I have to see this film one more time today, like, and it's not a bad film, but like, don't.
What sort of character does Daniel Radcliffe play?
He's a widower.
He's a widower.
Which, because,
is there something on train tracks or something? Or like he's on train tracks?
It's so weird that I've forgotten so much of the film.
Right.
Like,
you've watched it so many times. Yeah,
I've watched it so many times, but they're all in the one day.
Yes.
In like 2009 or something.
Yeah. So you had to watch it, and so which screening was the worst? Was the worst behaved?
Probably about it's probably about like the 5 o'clock-ish one, because they're not getting out late, like they have to be home.
The more tired that you get, the worse behaved they are.
Yeah.
But was the final screening like chill?
A little more chill, because
you needed that.
The young'uns are gone now.
Right.
So like I actually don't think I needed to watch all of it that 5th time.
Okay. And what are you just watching at the back of the room?
Yeah, just
at the very back row, or
like just stood at the back near the door.
The doors are at the top of the.
Yes, yeah, it's not
crucially,
like
it's not like a multiplex sort of.
Yeah.
Doors are at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, in every single screen, the doors at the back, as opposed to like
old school.
Yeah, it's old school cinema. I remember one time. You get to, it's the final Harry Potter film.
Sorry to ask.
All right.
Also,
What DVD have you spotted?
all your stories are like movies with Daniel Radcliffe in them.
Oh yeah.
Do you have The Woman in Black?
I don't actually.
Why not?
It feels like the thing that Lynn would own.
It feels like, yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe we've got through this without mentioning this beautiful home that you have here. But so you don't have the Woman in Black. Never mind.
The Woman in Black. No reason to see it again.
But you were talking about Harry Potter.
The final Harry Potter. It's a midnight screening. It is sold out. I've never been a big Harry Potter fan. No shade to anyone who is, regardless of anybody involved in the writing of those books and how you may feel about them. Like, I understand that Harry Potter is important to a lot of people my age. I completely understand it. It's a thing that people are very passionate about. I never quite got on board with, but I'm very passionate about other things.
And you're passionate about passion.
Yes, yeah. So it's a thing. It's a
as am I.
Yeah, like people are coming.
Hell of a disclaimer about about Harry Potter there. Just excellently, covered all bases.
yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, like there are many beloved Harry Potter adults in my life, and the passion you have for this, I have for other things. So it's like it's a midnight screening. It's sold out. People have filled out the big screens, multiple screens at midnight.
All four?
No, we had it in the big two. I'm stood at the back of the room. It's myself and
very much the Snape of the cinema screen.
No. I'm like, listen, like you guys are fully in on this, fully on board for this, and I've got no stake in this, but I'm happy you guys are all here having a nice time. If you're at a midnight screening of any film,
you said this was your introduction to this the movie. You're like, I'm happy you guys are all here. Okay, let's roll.
Yeah.
Well, that was a weird introduction.
Yeah. like I don't get it, but I'm happy you guys are like.
The lights come down.
Yeah. I've got, if anybody's going to a midnight screening of any film, I've got some degree of respect for them. Like you like that. There's a buzz, and I'm stood at the back of the room. It's me and he was, I think he was an assistant manager or something like that. He was the one dickhead who worked there. Everyone else was really cool, but every sound as fuck. He was the one dickhead. We're stood at the back of the room, and the lights go down. The Warner Brothers logo comes up, and this one very excited young woman in the back shouts, "Fuck yeah!" And he immediately escorts her out into the night. She had tickets to see the culmination of this series that she has grown up with. She got a little too wild there for a second, said some non-12A language, although you get one, and I don't think they were using it in the film. Yeah. So
that guy is a dick for throwing her out.
He is.
He is a dick for throwing her out.
Like, just give her a talking to if you need to. You do that, you know what? She'll have missed a couple crucial moments at the start of this film she's very excited for. You'll have punished her enough.
Let that be a lesson to her.
Yeah. Don't throw her out into the midnight by herself.
Yeah.
Like, because she got a little too excited.
Yeah. It's also like it's just be like, fuck yeah, the Warner Brothers logo.
Like, objectively funny.
Yeah, very funny. Yeah.
Worked at the Airdrie for 6 years. But as I say, you leave uni, you need full-time work, and they're not giving you full-time hours. So I also had to juggle other jobs with the Odeon. So I also worked for 1 month in a Witherspoon's kitchen.
Ooh.
Left.
And
then got a job with the children's entertainment company, where I was so doing a few different things.
The theatre kid jumped out.
Well, yeah, and we would do like sort of kids film schools where I would have this camera and a green screen, and you just do sessions with kids where it's just like, okay, today we're pretending to be superheroes, or today we're pretending to be on a spaceship, and then they do that, and then I'd go and I'd Photoshop, make backgrounds and props and stuff like that, and then like a month later take back to the kids, like, here's your copy of the video, like this is your adventure in space and stuff like that. But also they did like kids parties where, like, again, you dress up like Batman,
amazing,
you do all this, and then did that for a while, and then in the last year when I knew I was moving to Glasgow, I needed to work. I needed to make money. And so I was working at the Odeon. I was doing this stuff with the kids' entertainment company. But I'd said to the kids' entertainment company, like, hey, is there more I can do? I need more hours. And I was like, we don't have anything, but there is this. And it was a garden center with a Santa's grotto. Needed an elf that wasn't a kid. Because it's like, we've got kid elves and we've got an old man Santa. We need no offense, elf-like adult, like, who has experience with kids parties, who who can
crowd control.
Yeah. Can I tell you my first shift? It was the wildest shift. So the debut of the Santa's grotto is like you and Santa in a limo are going to pick up Make-A-Wish kid. By the way, sidebar, the kid made it. The kid's fine.
Oh, wow, fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Yeah.
I don't know who I'm thanking. I'm thanking God. Thanking God and all the gods.
Thank you, Christmas gods. You picking up this kid, like, giving him a present. We're riding in the limo together. It's me, this old man dressed as Santa, and this ill kid.
What was the Santa like? What was Santa's real name?
I forget what Santa's real name was. I think it was Bob.
But he was age appropriate.
He was age appropriate. He was an old guy, and
right?
He was just like, yeah, this is what I'm. He didn't come from any kind of theater background or anything like that. Just some old guys are good fucking Santa.
Yes,
they'll ask the kids what they want.
Yes,
they're just good at it. You're like, yeah, born to do it.
It's I think for many, it's a role that method is the only preparation, where being a father, being a grandfather, lends itself to the Claus character.
Yeah.
But you guys got on okay.
Yeah, we got on okay. Like again,
because you're in the limo before. You guys are in the back of the limo before the star of the show shows up.
Yeah. And we think, okay, and we're in the limo and we're going to arrive.
Is there a sunroof?
There was a sunroof. We did not use it.
What?
Sorry. and it's going to take us to the garden center. And it's just like, oh yeah, because there's going to be a few people there. John,
I forgot this was all happening in a garden centre.
The crowd outside was huge, and there was a red carpet, and I'm dressed as an elf, too old to be doing this job, frankly, with this sick kid and this Santa, and we come, biggest fucking crowd, like you are a fucking celebrity. The rest of the month was nowhere near that glamorous, I guess. Like, the rest of the month is you're working in a Santa's grotto, you're an old man, you're working with an old man, and the other elves are like, they are teenagers,
right?
And yeah, like it's you get along with both, you get along with them all, but yeah, there is a little part of you that is just like, I'm this is not how I saw post-uni life. Yeah. But like that was just like the job, the job situation in Ayr.
That's when you hear a song about wanting to get out of a town, but it's a new town
100%
that you want to get out of.
Yeah, I was like ready to leave now at that point. And as I said, I was working these like 3 jobs. And just round the clock, because I was like, okay, I have fallen in love. I am moving to Glasgow. I am ready. I'm going to work. I'm going to put in a hard graft this Christmas, because I know that in January I am moving to Glasgow. But like, yeah, there was an element of, you know, I was so stressed, and it was just, mummy, like, you know, like, finish my shift. I'm out the front of the garden center. It's kind of like, mummy, why is the elf smoking? I was just like, yeah, you know what? Fair play. I did not need to do it immediately as I stepped out.
It's because he's in love and he wants to, and he hates this town. And then you moved to Glasgow.
Moved to Glasgow.
And happily ever after.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been great. Well, thank you so much for making the time to chat to me.
This has been a lot of fun.
About your hometown. Yeah, it's so interesting that hearing that, you know, all these little things from, you know, how they have contributed to you, like the keyboard lessons, the theatre school, and then, you know, obviously doing film at uni, but then you know, like, yeah, working with kids, and, you know, doing filming and like short form sketches, and like teaching people would you know, solidify your understanding of that, and storytelling and things like that, and then being an elf. It's so good, and it makes so much sense. And that's maybe not the best way to be like, so you should check out Chris's stuff. It's a combination of children's entertainer, elf, some forgotten keyboard skills, but you are one of the funniest minds that I know. But thank you so much, and thank you so much, Jesse, for being so well behaved.
Oh man, look, thank you for having me. I cannot wait to listen to other episodes.
Yeah,
it's a great idea.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But thank you so much. Cheers.